Hello, welcome. I'm Dagmar Stancova, and this is the Eating with Dagmar show. So today, I'm going to make a raw cheesecake. Yep, you heard me. I've been wanting to do this for a while, and I don't know, I just never get to it. So I have to thank my friend Michelle for inspiring me to make this video. So this is going to be a raw cheesecake. It's based on Agenus van der Planets and his eating style, which is hands down my most favorite eating style of all the different things that I've tried in my, let's not talk about numbers or years, but many years. So what you need for this is some raw cheese and some raw butter. Now, I get my cheese from this fantastic Amish farm. There's many of them around the country. And I get unsalted raw cheese, which is really hard to get. But you can also do this with salted raw cheese. It will still be delicious. Except you might have to add a little extra dates or honey. So here we go. Proportions. Since I'm trying to be precise, I'm making a little mini cheesecake, not a big one. Because if I have a big cheesecake, then I'll eat it. So little cheesecake is much better. So I'm doing, I don't know, let's weigh this. Let's be precise here. Oh, that's 4 ounces. 4 ounces of raw cheese, and the amount of butter is a little bit in size, a little bit less than the cheese. I don't know if you can see this. There's a lot of light coming from the inside and outside, but so the butter is a little less and the cheese is more. How's that for precision? So now I'm going to put the butter into, I have a little hot water here and a bowl, and I'm putting the butter in there just to get it softened even more. That's very important to make sure the butter is softened. Doesn't have to be completely melted, just softened. Okay, so next phase, we cut the cheese into small pieces. So whatever that means to you, whatever small pieces means to you. Actually, no, I'll show you what I mean. Wait, let me move this here. So into little cubes. The smaller the better. Also, before you start making this recipe, it's best to let the cheese sit out for quite a while. Also, let the eggs sit out for a while, and then put the butter into a double boiler kind of a situation. So I don't know if you can see this. I'm cutting this into cute little cubes of cheese. And when you taste this, you'll be like, oh my God, it tastes completely like cooked cheesecake. Except all the enzymes and all the minerals are intact. They're not cooked out of it. So it's a medicinal meal. So here's the cheese cut up. And what I'm going to be using for this, it's amazing how much I get done in this tiny little kitchen. So it's just a regular standard Cuisinart. I have a cute small one because my place is small. I used to be smaller. I'm not as small as I used to be, but that's because I'm fattening up myself for when shit hits the fan out there. I'm not going to be one of those skinny people. I want to have a little extra something. I don't know what makes me say these things. This is one of these very small size little Cuisinart. What do you call these things anyway? It's a Cuisinart. That's what it is. So I'm going to, first, if you wish, you can make a little walnut and date, crust, right? But I'm only going to do that just so that you can see how to make it. But when I do this for myself, which I do maybe once a month as a special treat or something like that, I don't put any crust. I just put the cheesecake into little jars or little cups, and it becomes like a little dessert treat that you can just have cheesecake without the crust. But for this exercise, I will make a crust. So now that I have the cheese cut up over here, I'm just going to let it sit in this very hot environment. I don't know, must be, I don't know what the exact number of the temperature is, but as my southern gentleman neighbor would say, as he would say, it's hotter than a hooker's doorknob on nickel night. Yeah, I mean, it's like, you know, you're constantly, but it makes your skin very dewy. So there's a good side. So I'm just going to let this sit in the heat of the day. And here's my eggs, my local eggs again from my, oh, they're sweating. It's so hot in here. I just took them out of the refrigerator and they are sweating. Usually I don't refrigerate eggs because that's what we did in the old country, but now it is so hot that I decided to refrigerate them. Anyway, so that's what's in this recipe is raw cheese, raw butter, raw eggs, unsteamed dates, and lemon. Those are the only ingredients, and walnuts for this particular recipe, just so you can see how it works. These are walnuts that I soaked in water with Celtic sea salt for maybe about 12 hours. Then I dehydrated them for about 4 days, so they're really crispy. And then I put them inside this little vacuum suction thing, which is the greatest tool ever. And then I store a bunch of these for Armageddon. I got a whole bunch of, you know, and I put them in the freezer, and they can last for years. But even without the freezer, they can last for quite a long time when you soak and dehydrate them. And to me, they're even better than not soaked and not dehydrated. They're actually crispier, but they're all vibrant and alive and not heated above 100 degrees. But because you soak them, you remove some of the digestive enzyme inhibitors. So these are much easier on your digestion. Remember on the last video, I was talking about lectins and how lectins are basically the plant's defense system because they cannot growl back at the animal who's eating them, and they cannot run away. So they have these little internalized poisons, lectins, and various plants have that various different levels of them. And many cultures have learned how to remove some of these lectins so that you could eat these plants, like the Italians, who never make Italian sauce just by putting the whole tomato in there. They know. They peel the tomatoes and remove the seeds. So they're basically removing the lectins. But there's tons of stuff on the internet about lectins if you want to research that. So now I will cut into my Armageddon supply and open this bag for you, Michelle. So you can see how I make the crust. I mean, none of this is very complicated, you know, it's all commonsensical, but I'm one of those people that I'm very visual, and I think most people are. Like, if you see somebody else doing something, if you see them doing it, it's much easier to then reproduce it and do it yourself. So again, you can make a big old cheesecake if you want, if you have a big family or children, and then you just have to use your common sense gene. You know, figure out what flavors, you know, how much you like, how sweet you like it. I tend to like things less sweet than most people. So now I'm just kind of eyeballing it to see. I'm going to make the little, this is going to be the little pie in this is my little pie bowl. So actually, wait, on the last video I said I only had 2 bowls. I stand corrected. I have 3. This is bowl number 3. And what I'm going to do is just spread some raw butter on the bottom so that it won't, so it'll be easy to, so that it won't stick. This is the beautiful raw butter from the Amish. God bless those Amish. They're like the last of the good farmers who still make food and grow food the old country way, where they do not put any injections into the cows or the chickens. And on my last video, I went into greater detail about the injected cattle and the, you know, injected chickens and all that. So I am going to try to see if I will not get thrown out of YouTube. So I'm being careful about what words I use, because this is the new America where you have to be careful. Or maybe I should start speaking in other languages. That might be fun. Confuse people and then have them run to Google Translate. What that bitch just say? Oh no, I can't believe it. She's an anti-injection person? Oh no, get rid of her, burn her. All right, it's gonna make a noise, and sorry. Oh, it's not making a noise because it's not plugged in. This is what happens when you have a really tiny kitchen. But as Orson Welles says, the greatest enemy of art is the lack of limitation. So every limitation that I have in here, whether it's limitation in the foods that I have, or limitation in the equipment that I have, or in the space that I have, is forcing me to be more creative. And that is always pleasurable. So here we go. Okay, I gave these pecans a little blend, and now I'm going to, what am I going to do? Let's see. You know what? I didn't really need to do that here. I could have done that in my Cuisinart. That would have been much smarter. But this is not a smartness contest, so I will move on and forgive myself. So because I wanted to blend the dates. That's what's going to sweeten the crust. So I'm going to put a bunch of dates in here. I have to clean the bone because there are people starving in the world and I can't bear to waste anything. Maybe that's, one might call that an old country scarcity mentality, but oh well. Oh my God, these dates are from California. I have a friend who goes there to the farmer's market for me, and every year sends me some dates. And I have to say, that was one of the best aspects of California. North Carolina does not have any date trees. Wow. How could something so simple be so ridiculously delicious? Okay, so I think I'm putting in 5 small dates. Okay. Now I'm going to put this in there, and I should have just put the nuts right directly in here along with the dates and just blended it, and that would have been perfect. But I didn't do that because I was too busy running my mouth. And that's the story of my life. Things happen. And now let's see. I will also pour a little bit of this melted butter in here, because the melted butter, when you put it in the refrigerator, it will make the crust harden even better. Okay. Now, all right. Let's give this more noise. Woohoo! One day when I decide to break my block against editing and will learn how to edit, then you won't be hearing this blender. But for now, this is what you're gonna get. I think, oh, it's done a marvelous job. See, this is a great texture like this. So this is how you then make the crust. You simply place this I'm back to giving my food a hand job. It's just, I don't know. I don't know how else to make food without getting my hands thoroughly engaged. So, look. Here's the mush. And now all I'm going to do is with my hand once again. Now, if you want to be, you know, like extra whatever, you can just take a plastic bag, put it on your hand, and you can press the plastic bag into this. But I'm trying to get this done in a reasonable time. But on the other hand, it's starting to stick to my fingers. So that's not good. But so yeah, so a plastic bag would be good, or not a plastic glove. Those have weird powders on them. But just take a plastic bag and create this shape, okay? Basically, just, you know, and it will harden when you put it in the refrigerator. So this is ready. But remember, if you're not using crust, you can skip this whole step. Oh, you know what else I should have put in there? I won't do it. Oh no, I didn't have to. Salt. A little bit of salt. But these pecans that I dehydrated, I soaked them in salt. So, and there's salt on them as they were dehydrating. So it's just the right amount of salt. And the salt with the date, I call a date is like what I call the marrying food. It marries flavors. So the date just marries the saltiness with the sweetness, which is basically what we like about cake, because every cake has salt in it. Salt or baking soda or baking powder, basically salt. Oh my God, it's like cookie dough. Yeah, it's a shame to wash it off, so I won't. But I will wash my hands, because I will share this with someone else, so it won't just be me eating it. I have some couthness. I'm not completely uncouth. Okay, so now I'm gonna put oops. Yep, I'm not Julia Child. Clearly, I'm not Julia Child. My skills are not quite there. I'm putting this in the refrigerator to help the butter harden. And now we make the main part of the dish. Okay, so hey, why am I rushing? That's ridiculous. I don't have to rush. This is my show. I can take my time. You can turn it off anytime. You know, I keep, especially lately, I keep forgetting that this is a free country. And I have to keep reminding myself that it's only going to remain the country that represents freedom if we keep practicing our freedom, if we claim it, if we live it. So I'm free to do this in whatever timing I wish. God, that feels good. That feels really good. I'm not going to wash this because it's going to get mixed anyway. In my mouth, I mean, when you eat it. So, let's see. So here we have, I'm going to put the cheese in. What I like about this, making a small cheesecake, is that I can do it all in one time. But if I'm making a bigger cheesecake, because this thing is so little, I have to do like 2 or 3 of these. So, okay. So here's the melted butter. I'm going to pour the melted butter in. Okay, melted butter is in. Now, I'm going to go through the putting in the dates again. One, 2. These are very small dates. 3. It'll be up to you how many dates you put in, you know, depending on what you like. 4. I think 5 is enough. Now, we put in some lemon. I don't know, like a tablespoon maybe of lemon. The lemon really makes it taste like cheesecake. Okay, and then we're going to put in the eggs, and what the eggs do, the eggs give it the lightness and the fluff, the whole egg. Oh, it's sunny out. There's a hawk on the front lawn eating something, and it's starting to rain. That's the joys of the South, the weather. So as we said before in many videos, you're not going to get salmonella from a raw egg, but never just throw it in. You know, you always go one by one. Smell it. Smells just fine. Looks just fine. The egg yolk part isn't falling apart. So I put it in. And I think for this size, I'm going to put in 2. I tried to put in raw eggs into as many things as possible. Whoa, that just splashed all over me. Yep, it's good. So, all right. And now, oh, it's a gentle rain. It's not a loud rain. That's good. But the sun is going to be a rainbow. Oh boy. Hotter than a hooker's doorknob on nickel night. All right, so let's see. You know what? Put a dash of salt in there too, because wherever there's sweet, when you add salt, it just takes it over the top. Just a real tiny little dash, right? Nothing crazy. So again, we have all the flavors that humanity loves. Salty, sweet, sour, and fatty. We got the fat from the eggs, the butter, and the cheese. We got the sweet from the dates. We got the salty from salt. And we got the sour from the lemon. So again, this is sure to be a winner with anyone. Okay. Here come the noise. I like to get it as smooth as possible so that it has that cheesecakey feel to it. Just testing if it's the right amount of tartness. Yes, it is. God, even like this, even before it hardens. Oh my God. God, it's just amazing to me how you don't need to cook. I mean, I'm doing a lot of, I guess blending is sort of like cooking because you still are breaking down some of the molecules, but you're not using any heat. So you're not destroying the nutritious part of this. God, I don't think it needs anything else. And that's what you have to do. You just taste it to see, is it tart enough? Does it need more lemon? Is it sweet enough for me? Does it need more date? This one, I guess I just hit it exactly right. But it needs to be smoother. I want it to be really like, smooth. This thing must be so old. I just want it, I want to make sure that's why I cut those cheeses so small. Cut those cheeses. I should do this show in Czech. I wonder how different that would be if I did it in another language. Now it's starting to be smooth. Yeah, almost perfectly smooth, exactly how I want it. Woo-wee. I have no air conditioning. All I got is a fan. Oh my gosh. I just noticed that in the background I have a lot of mess. Okay. Whee! All right. Homemade wind, raw wind, and raw cheesecake. Okay. So I think it's ready to be put in the refrigerator. Let's see. This probably is hardened already. Not quite, but it's okay. So now for the grand finale, we got the crust in, and now we're just going to pour this in. Oh, there was a piece of cheese in there that did not get ground. I removed it. I don't know how people, like on those real chef shows where there's real chefs, I don't know how they do everything with spatulas and spoons, and how to me that just seems so, what would I call it, clinical. When there's no hands involved. I don't see how I could get it off of this without my fingers. I mean, and then I guess they just throw the food away. I won't lick this in front of you because it might scare you, but I will lick it later. Let's see. I'll use a spoon for a second here. Why, look at me. I'm all civilized. Using a spoon. Hey! It works. A spoon works. I mean, it works to some degree, but look at all this leftover stuff. Not good. Okay, now I just spread it out into a cheesecake form. And what you could do, like this, I'm going to put in the refrigerator. And you'll have to trust me that it will harden beautifully. And then you just cut out little slices and you have raw cheesecake. And if you want, after this hardens, it really will harden. You'll think it was in the oven. You can also make some, if you have any raw cream, you could take some raw cream and whip it a little bit and throw in a couple of blueberries and a little honey, and then you can spread that on top and let that harden. Or you could just put a dollop of whipped raw cream on top of each slice when you eat it. Or on top of this, you could just take blueberries and lay them in there. Or you could take nectarines and lay them out. But I really like just simple like this. So now it's going to go in the refrigerator. And as soon as I turn off the camera, I have a lot of licking to do over here. So I hope you learned something and try it. Try it. You'll be amazed. It's a real treat. And don't tell people that it's raw cheesecake. Just let them eat it and be like, oh, wow, where'd you get this recipe? And you say, it's raw. And they'll be like, oh my God, I'm going to die. Anyway, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and signing off.